Coming. Hello, everyone. Hi, it's Karen Stuckey here from Church Support Australia. Hope you're all doing well. And next to me, you can see Evan. I don't know if you've met Evan before. He's from Digital Team Coach. How you going, Evan?
Very well. Thank you for this time now, Karen.
That's great. I'm really glad to have you on and chat about Digital Team Coach, because it sounds like a interesting interesting job that you have there. We here are life coaches and sports coaches and a digital team coach. Tell us a bit about yourself first and about your background and which church you belong to, etc.
Yeah, sure. So I'm here in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm married with 3 kids. I've been to church all my life, basically, and sort of hopped around different denominations. So for me, the label doesn't mean too much. We're all just followers of Jesus, and I had the opportunity when I was 18 to start a youth service at my church here in Melbourne, and that opportunity and the faith that our youth pastor put into me and a couple of friends, and just for us to give us the opportunity to run with it, was such a instrumental opportunity for me, and seeing the benefit of serving the church. And so my heart is to train up people as well in the same way, and particularly younger people, digital natives, and be able to release them to be able to serve us well into the future.
That's good, because it's a well-needed area that people need training up in, because I suppose when the younger ones, I suppose, do learn a bit about media and digital in the digital technology available, but when you get to over 40, over 50, you kind of get a bit lost in because technology's changed so much over time, and it's hard keeping up. So how did the digital team coach come about? How did that dream and passion start?
Yeah, so I trained in multimedia at uni, so I've been a web developer for almost 20 years now, and so worked in different organizations, particularly creating websites and with online learning for different universities and TAFEs. For the last 6 years, I've been working as the music minister at St. Hilary's in Kew, and towards the end of last year, I just had it on my heart to be able to serve the wider church, and just seeing a need that churches also need support with their technology and their digital, and to bring the church for decades to come, particularly into the 21st century, which there's a lot of big churches that have lots of resources in-house and do amazing things, but particularly for smaller churches, to resource them. So I decided at the end of last year I'd finish up, and I finished up at the end of March this year. And that's right when lockdown started to happen. And so God's timing was really perfect with this situation for me to be able to serve the wider church. And really, we're in the biggest communication shift we've had in 500 years. And to be able to engage online is our lifeline as churches, as followers of Jesus, as faith organizations. And so, it's a revolution, and now's the time to work together in this space.
Yeah. Talk about perfect timing. It's amazing how God just lines everything up and you go, that's why. So, it would have been a big comfort to you, I suppose, to know that, God put you there at the right time, just for such a time as this. And it would have been confirmation to know that you're to use your skills and share your skills with many others around the nation who are struggling in that area.
Yeah, so it was very timely.
Yeah. No, fantastic. So you mentioned about helping smaller churches, especially because they need, they often don't have the talented people or the skill set people within their congregation. So what ways can you help the smaller churches?
Well, the technology supports the ministry that we do. The ministry hasn't really changed, and our purpose hasn't changed at all. It's to, love God and serve Him, and to love our community and to serve Him. And the technology simply supports that. But because there's such a shift online, we need to embrace this and utilize this. So I've, been blessed to have the opportunity to help train and resource lots of churches, particularly here in Melbourne, and give them the support they need to be able to take the next steps. And you're not going to go from a little church of 100 people to the level of Hillsong overnight. And not every church is meant to be the big large church, but we all play our part. And I just want to help churches to be able to serve and connect well, to engage and reach online, and to be able to use the resources that we have with us, even as simple as this. It's amazing what you can do with this these days. If we went into lockdown 5 or 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to stream the services. It just wasn't mainstream technology for most people and organizations, and just think about bandwidth and all those sorts of things. So particularly for smaller churches to be able to connect with their own people, but to be able to reach beyond that into their local community, and to empower particularly their younger people and people who just have a heart to serve with technology. That's my heart is to help resource them to be able to do that well. Social media, communication, and all sorts of digital systems.
Is that including setting up a computer, or getting a computer, or getting the internet set up in their churches as well?
Yeah, that's part of it. But it's more than just the hardware. There's a lot of online software, and organisations today really need to harness that, and that you can't really escape it either. So, 15, 20 years ago, we might have had the member database on one spreadsheet on someone's computer. But today we've got so many more great systems and better support there with church management systems. We look at task and project systems, communication for internal with your staff and volunteers, with then externally with social media and collaborating online. We're all having to work remotely and work smarter in a remote way, which some people are very comfortable with and have done it before, but there's a lot who haven't as well. So it's sort of all these things put together, and to be able to have a strategy to integrate the systems well, and to support what we're doing, not to geek out on systems, but because they support the ministry that we need to do today.
Exactly. That sounds great. So if a church is starting out or beginning to work on their technology, where should they begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. And particularly if you're starting out, you probably don't have a big budget for it, and you may or may not have a few people to be able to call on. So I think firstly, there needs to be a bit of a budget released to be able to do this well, just to be able to get some basic gear in place to start the live streaming, to train up people to be able to support that area of ministry, which is going to overflow into other areas of ministry as well, particularly for someone who's a one-person show at church. It's a lot of work to try and communicate effectively to lots of people. So I think the more that we can train and invest in the next generation, that's going to be really important. and to get a digital strategy in place for the years to come. And we don't need to be afraid of this. It can be quite overwhelming, but there are lots of great resources and great people who can support you with this.
Excellent. And you can do so much with so little as well. And yeah, if with your just mobile phone, as you said before.
Yep.
Yeah. So how have you helped churches with getting to a stage where they're doing their best with using digital tools?
So I've really had some wonderful opportunities to train and run workshops for different ministers and pastors and other church leaders. And this has been around all sorts of areas such as the live streaming and AV, with working remotely, with social media, and lots of different areas of the technology. And another key area is, as I said before, in coming up with a holistic digital strategy. So I was working with a church here in Melbourne, and we sort of mapped out where they were with their technology and systems and administration, and they'd had a couple of administrators finish up. So there was a gap there, but also an opportunity to say, right, this is how things have been done, but this is where we want to go and where we sense that God is calling us. So I was able to help them then come up with a full strategy with all these different systems in place that are going to support them and launch them into the next few years, and then give them a roadmap to be able to implement that and to roll it out and train people well. Because even when you go, right, we've got a new system in place, to be able to get 5 or 10 or 100 people on board and using it and engaging with it well is not a task that happens overnight. It needs to be well thought through, and people are at all different stages with that as well. So it's a challenge, but again, it's an opportunity too.
Yeah, I love that, because sometimes people just throw you the equipment or tell you what to do and just leave you hanging and not follow through with the training or walking alongside you to check how the team's going, how things are working. So I love how you do that, because some people can feel so lost and so overwhelmed with change and new technology. So that's fantastic, Evan. So where can people get hold of you? Where can they get in touch and find out more about what you do and your resources that you have available?
So my website is digitalteamcoach.com, and I've got sort of a whole area on there for churches and the training sessions that I have. I have weekly training sessions at the moment, which are open to any churches or parachurch organisations that want to participate in those conversations. And I have a Facebook group as well, Digital Systems for Churches. And I think it complements well the work that you're doing here with Church Support Australia. And I really love what you're doing to be able to resource the Australian church and the impact that has in the community and beyond Australia as well. So you're doing great, Karen.
Oh, we're all needed, especially this time. But that's great. And I have in the past touched on a bit of areas that you do, but I try to focus trying to focus back more on admin. But my tech geekiness streak in me always leaps out every now and then. But and if I just want to encourage pastors too, if you have 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds or young adults who are technical minded or are great with photography with the camera, I'm sure Evan would love to get alongside them and help them, train them to run your social media, to help with live streaming, to help any technical way in the church, because this generation age is a great time to grab them and get them involved in the church more, especially with lockdown. And Victoria is still locked down, unfortunately, but this is a great time where if Evan can come alongside them and do Zoom and teach them to, what to post on Facebook and what not to post on Facebook, and also with websites, you said, Evan, and any other digital training where you can get that age group involved. But anyone in the church, no matter how old you are, you're never too old to learn something new.
Yeah, that's right. And I think also for, particularly for, the pastors, the church leaders, like I'm happy to work with the younger ones, and I've got, as I said, I've got such a heart for them. But also I want to be able to resource not just the younger ones, but all ages, particularly for the church leaders who are the ones who are still going to be the ones on the ground and working with the younger ones. So I want to empower the church leaders as well to be able to know the language, to be able to speak to the younger ones, and how to lay out good parameters with the technology, and developing that teamwork across generations is so important.
Exactly. No, that's good. I love that. I'm so excited, Devon, what you're doing. And so if you're a pastor or an elder or a leader, direct your senior pastors to digitalteamcoach.com, and Evan would be happy to answer any questions you have via email, or you can pop them in the chat here and I can tag Evan. It was great chatting with you, Evan.
And to you, Karen. Look forward to. Well, I think we've all got a part to play in the church today, and that's the great thing. A few years ago, it was like, technology. What I do, it's not that important. If I compare myself to other people who've been to Bible college and I haven't been to Bible college, it's like, I'm just, I just play my little bit in the corner. But we all have a part to play, and now it's really highlighted the importance of different people's skills even more than it has before. So I'm just really excited about that.
Yeah. No, so am I. Fantastic. Well, God bless you all, and we'll touch you next time. Thanks, Evan.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.